It's important to be able to select different parts of your photograph to edit when you only want to change certain areas of your picture. Photoshop offers a number of different ways of doing this, a number of different tools. There's the lasso tool, the magic wand tool, and the quick selection tool. They all work in different ways. The lasso tool comes in three different variations. There's the basic lasso tool, the magnetic lasso tool, and the polygonal lasso tool. The basic lasso tool is relatively simple to use, but can be quite difficult to control. Essentially, it's a freehand way of drawing to pick your selection. So if I wanted to select the face here, I would have to draw. I'm drawing this freehand all the way around. That makes it quite difficult to hug the profile of the selection. Doing this quite quickly, all the way around, and there, we've made a selection there. If I zoom in a little, you can see that I've not been very good at following the lines all the way around here, and so there are some parts that I may lose from my selection, and I'd have to go and potentially select to add some more, and then draw in round the extra bits to add them into my selection. You can see it's moved it there, and it'd be quite a painstaking process to go through and add in and take out all the bits that I didn't want. The magnetic lasso tool can be a bit more useful. We select it over here on all the lasso tools. Keep your finger pressed and you get your choices. Select magnetic lasso tool. It will follow the edge of a selection based on changes in colour, which you can change its sensitivity up here in this area. Essentially, on this photograph it's quite easy for it to follow because of the bright white background and the bright colours here. So we select on the edge here and then draw. It's often useful to just point it at sort of obvious corners. It'll follow it around, and you can see it's automatically following around the edge here all by itself. It'll start to get a bit confused when I drag it across around here, but again follows nicely up the side of the face and then around the ear. And see, it's got a bit lost there, but that was a lot easier than the basic lasso tool. If we zoom in to the picture and have a closer look at the selection there, you can see that in some areas it's made a very good job of tracking the edge of the selection, but in other areas where there's been quite a contrast in the colours, it's got a bit mixed up. So it's relatively easy to add some more to the selection. Take the lasso tool, mark little bits that you definitely want it to include, and then it'll follow that line round there, mark it to there, and if we there, back to the beginning, it's taking all of that bit in, and we can work round the whole picture doing that to make sure that the full selection is made. The polygonal lasso tool, again we select in a similar manner. This allows you to mark the edge of your selection with dots, and Photoshop joins the dots very nicely for you. So if we zoom in to the picture here, and if we wanted to select the mouth on this photograph, put my first dot, and you can see that Photoshop's following me wherever I move the cursor. And then I would mark the second dot, and that one there now is locked, and I can follow that all the way around the mouth, making little dots, little markers. Photoshop knows where the boundary of the selection is. Obviously it relies very much on how closely you're doing this, how much care you take. If we zoom in a little further, you'll see that there are little bits that have moved that perhaps, say, the magnetic lasso tool wouldn't have done, but quite a useful tool all the same. Another tool that Photoshop allows you to make different selections with is the Magic Wand tool, selected here. This tool will make selections based on colours and tones in the area around where you click the tool. One of the key parameters that you must set is the tolerance up here. If you set a low tolerance number, when you make your selection, it's very restrictive on what it will include in the automatic selection it makes. If we zoom into this area, we can see that there's a broad outline of similar colours and tones, but these little dots in here mean that it's also excluding some areas from the selection. So the tolerance is very important in defining which parts of the photograph you can and can't select. So if we deselect that one and increase the tolerance to almost the other end of the scale and click here, you'll see it makes a better attempt at selecting all of the hair, which is quite dark in colour against the white background. So the tolerance is very important in defining the area which is selected by the Magic Wand tool. Another useful selection tool is the Quick Selection tool. Once selected, and when you click on your picture, again it will automatically select an area that encloses colours of the similar tone and colour for your selection. So you can see on here it's selected the top part of the toy's head, and it's excluded from the selection the dark eyes in the middle. So there's two ways to add in the dark eyes. We can click to add to our selection and then click on each of the eyes and it includes them. A different way of having the same effect there would have been to click but leave your finger on the mouse button and then slowly move your mouse across it, and it will include everything while your finger's pressed on the mouse. As soon as we come down here and select on a different colour here, it picks up another part. We move down to here again, select all of the selection of that same additional colour, and in this way you can keep adding parts to your selection, and it sticks very nicely to the edge where it meets different colours and tones. It's a very useful way of adding in parts to your selection. And then we can, as with all the selection tools, if we click on add, then we can make sure that we go around and add in all the other bits that I missed first time round. Similarly, if you wanted to, there's a bit on here, a tag that we didn't want, we probably wouldn't really want in our picture. If it was added into the selection, we can click here and then we can take it out. It will automatically take those bits out that you don't want. So I find that the most useful selection tool.